Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. There's one of three of us and I'm going to present about rock tumbling, rock polishing, specifically tumbling, but welcome to the High Desert Treasure Hunters. And I'm going to be talking about how we're going to polish rocks. Specifically, like a rough rock after we've done our hounding therapy, and getting it to something really nice and smooth like this. I'll go over more details on how to pick, how to select, and what we're looking for to get the ideal polished rock. There's no wrong rock, but you can optimize your choices by picking the right rock. Thank you, and please like and subscribe to our channel. Welcome to the High Desert Treasure Hunters. Thank you. Alright, let's look at some rocks. These are kind of some special ones right here. These are from a Cub Scout outing I went on, and so I'm going to be polishing them. And regardless of what condition they are in, you should always polish whatever rock you get from a kid. And my kids give me rocks all the time. I do most of them, even if I don't really care for them, because they enjoy them. If you look around my house, you'll see polished rocks everywhere, and it's just a lot of fun for the boys. But I wanted to kind of go over what I'm looking for in rocks and the different minerals. Right in here, you can see there's like a dip. It's going to be hard to polish, something like this. You want something that's uniform all the way around. Then you're also looking at what type of material it is. So how hard it is, how soft it is, and that will determine how long you polish. I typically do everything for a week. Yeah, I lose a lot of material on some, and some I don't lose hardly anything at all. But I do feel like I get some pretty good nice rocks that doesn't completely belong in there, but these are all the polished ones. No rock is bad rock. There's some that are better, and this is what we're going to be looking for. So one thing like this rock, you can see that it kind of has nice banding in it. When I picked this up, it was all gray, dirty, and all that. So after you go rock hounding, you should always clean your rocks and then start the tumbling process. You want to get off all the dirt and grime as much as possible. I typically soak my rocks for a night before I put them in the tumbler, because I want to get rid of any excess dirt that might be in these cracks and kind of get them off, because that will slow down the polishing process. So what I'm looking for a good candidate in a rock, not necessarily this piece, because you can see it has a lot of pores through it, but it can give me something very nice, something like this. You can see that there's a bunch of jerseys in it, but overall it's a really nice looking rock. Again, this, you can see the garnets polished out really nicely, and then also the type of material. This just looked like a pink rock. It didn't have anything spectacular. My kids actually gave it to me, and I think it's one of my favorites and one of their favorites, just because you see all these different textures and what looks like textures, different layers. It's not shiny by any means. It's actually quite dull, but it is still very nice. There's also a gray rock that I have in here, right here. And it's not one of my favorites, but does have a lot of interesting characteristics. You see that there's cracks, and we'll talk about those, but it's not really shiny. It's nice and smooth, and it looks nice, but there's a lot of possibilities out there. I usually keep all the chipped fragments, so all these are the chipped fragments, or too small, of rocks. So you're looking at also size. What type of size of rock? Let's say this obsidian. This is a pretty small piece of obsidian. This will probably disappear in the polish. It came from a Cub Scout, so I'm going to polish it, and I expect it to be disappearing, so I will give him one of my rocks, and I'll let him pick it out. And so what I'm looking for going back to that, is I see this. I know I'm not going to be able to get everything perfectly. What I'm worried about is the grit. Is it going to get stuck? Sorry about that. For some reason my GoPro decided to turn off. It still has plenty of battery, but I probably said something that it just triggered it, stop recording, but okay, good, it did. And so what I'm looking for is, I'm looking also for the material. If there's multiple materials, I need to worry about it. So like right in here, there's a lot of this like gravelly type material. Excuse me. I want to be careful of that because a lot of that will break loose. Anything that breaks loose, I need to worry about because it can affect the polish of the rest of the rocks. So to me, this is probably not an ideal candidate. However, I might break it and try to clean off some of this material. This is a sea nodule, or part of one. It's from Rotten Bunch. And so what I'm looking at is, okay, what are the different materials? Where are the cracks? So right in here, there's cracks, there's little things like that. Will actually clean out and when this breaks, how is it going to affect the rest? The edges are good, so those will be polished out pretty good. Then I'm also looking at the size of the rock. This is a pretty good size rock. So here is my tumbler, so my canister. It's going to take up a lot of space, so when it's tumbling in here, how is it going to affect all the other little rocks? Will it crush? Will it destroy them? So I need to pay attention to that. This I probably wouldn't use either. This is some slag glass that I found at a mine, and it just has a bunch of materials in it. So this could be of interest, but I know that's going to break off. On this edge right here is probably going to break off. So again, what is that going to do? If it's a little bit, who cares? It's not going to do much. But what I'm also looking at is the cracks. So right in here, there's a little bit of cracking. And so I want to see how that will affect my polish. Yeah, right in here you can kind of see that, hey, there could have been, but it turned out really nice. But you can see also the pores, the drusies. It didn't clean it out. If anything, I had to brush it out between each one, between each stage. And that's key to clean it out. If you have any of that, it'll continuously polish and it could ruin the whole batch. So the druzy, there's nothing wrong with it. It does give a nice look here. And you may hear my kids in the background. They're trying to go to bed, and you know how kids are, don't want to go to bed, especially on the weekend. But there's little cracks. So you have to be wary of those cracks. So if the crack is a different material, it can actually make a little dip. And you can see it chipped out because there was a crack through there. So what I'm looking at is size, the characteristics of the surface. You can see it chipped out right there. You also want to make sure you clean. So this is dirty on this side. And so when you're cleaning, you want to get rid of all this so you can kind of get this nice looking material. You don't know what this dirt's going to do. It probably won't do much, especially at the coarser grits. But then you're also looking at, okay, if there's a bunch of little cracks, it looks like it didn't really polish around that little ball right there. Still a very nice piece, but there's some pieces that just do better. And there's nothing wrong with whatever piece you pick. This would polish pretty nice, especially if it was on that side. Right in here, probably won't. This will break, this will break. Then I'll get a bunch of grit in here, and it won't polish it out. That will always be pretty rough. That is still pretty nice, but it's just something to look for. And right in here, a lot of this will probably break loose. Some of these rocks will come loose. So when you're looking at rocks, this looks kind of like a kind of ugly duckling, just because it's kind of has all these little pores, all this dirt, all that. However, it does come out really nice. Let's see if I can find one of my polished pieces. So after it gets passed, all this white material actually is pretty nice. This was one of those. And so is this. I didn't realize there was red in this. And these are the some that my kids come with me and pick them up and say, here you go, Dad. And then I carry it the rest of the trip because they don't want to. And here's some more. Yeah, see, you can see some alumina on the last stage. Got in here, I didn't really clean it out, and I kind of like it that way. But the rest through here. So the material you put in will be the material that comes out. So the better the material, more uniform it is, the better the polish will be. Like this is a pretty good rock. This is kind of an ideal type looking rock. Has nice straight edges. It doesn't have much druzy, and this will come out really nice. Let's see. This is again one of those materials. This will be a very nice material. It's on the slightly larger side. And my next videos, I'll actually be weighing these, and so you can kind of see how they change. But I bought some rocks online that I know exactly what they are, and I'll see how they change over time through the different stages. I'll weigh them out. I'll take some volume measurements based on their densities, and I'll go in a little more detail on how to polish. But right now, I'm just picking out different rocks. So this would be a good one. This is kind of another ideal size. But when you start getting too small, like this one could be good, and ideal. It's petrified wood, it's hard, so it will last longer. However, when you have a soft material, like this one was actually a lot bigger. It was approximately like that, about like that. And so I actually lost a lot of material, but it came out nice. And it was in the same batch with a lot of these. So if you have any questions, comments, please write them down. Any suggestions to help other people, please write them down. We all are learning in the process. But looking at how the material is, what type of cracks, what size, grouping it together with like material will help you a lot. Right hardness, and I'll go over that in the next 4 videos. Thank you. Again, please like the video and subscribe to High Desert Treasure Hunters. Thank you, and have a great day. All right, for some more information, always dip your rocks that you find into water after you clean them, and this will kind of give you a clue of what it's going to look like when polished. And that could be for any type of rock. So you can kind of see how it looks, and that is similar to this. Also, when choosing rocks, remember the size of the drum for your tumbler, and that becomes into this size. Again, here are some of the polished rocks, some of the chipped, some that I'll be adding, and more of those rocks. Thank you.